DTP trân trọng giới thiệu LCMS iSchool, hệ thống quản lý học tập toàn diện, được thiết kế để hỗ trợ mọi đối tượng trong hệ sinh thái số giáo dục. Từ Bộ Giáo dục, Sở Giáo dục, nhà trường đến giáo viên, học sinh và phụ huynh. LCMS iSchool cung cấp một giải pháp kết nối, quản lý và phân phối tài nguyên hiệu quả, góp phần nâng cao chất lượng dạy và học trong thời đại số. LCMS iSchool được xây dựng trên 4 thành phần cốt lõi. Hệ thống quản lý học tập LMS, hệ thống quản lý nội dung CMS, tích hợp hệ thống giảng dạy và học tập trực tuyến Big Blue Button, bảng tổng hợp thống kê và phân tích báo cáo. LCMS iSchool được thiết kế với giao diện thân thiện, dễ dàng phân quyền theo các cấp độ. LCMS iSchool cung cấp tài nguyên học tập đa dạng, hỗ trợ giáo viên trong việc giao bài, chấm điểm và theo dõi báo cáo kết quả học tập của học sinh một cách toàn diện và hiệu quả. Đặc biệt, CMS đóng vai trò trung tâm, cung cấp kho tài nguyên học liệu phong phú. Hệ thống cung cấp tài nguyên toàn diện từ mầm non đến đại học, bao gồm học tập, giảng dạy, bổ trợ và kiểm tra, giúp cá nhân hóa trải nghiệm giáo dục số mọi lúc mọi nơi. Với hơn 2.600 ứng dụng học tập, đồng hành cùng giáo viên và học sinh từ mầm non đến cao đẳng, đại học. 1 triệu giờ tự học trọn đời, mang đến cơ hội học tập liên tục, cá nhân hóa theo từng giai đoạn phát triển. Hơn 9.000 tựa sách đã được số hóa, giúp học sinh tiếp cận nguồn tài liệu phong phú, từ cơ bản đến nâng cao. Hơn 200.000 câu hỏi luyện tập bám sát chương trình sách giáo khoa, hỗ trợ rèn luyện kiến thức theo từng cấp độ. Hơn 20.000 câu hỏi luyện thi chứng chỉ quốc tế như IELTS, Cambridge, giúp học sinh tiếp cận chuẩn đánh giá toàn cầu. Hơn 1.000 câu hỏi thi xếp lớp, hỗ trợ đánh giá năng lực đầu vào và xây dựng lộ trình học tập phù hợp. Với kho tàng tài nguyên cùng giao diện thân thiện, LCMS iSchool sẽ giúp tối ưu hóa việc dạy và học trong thời đại số. Liên hệ để đăng ký trải nghiệm LCMS iSchool ngay hôm nay. DTP trân trọng giới thiệu LCMS iSchool, hệ thống quản lý học tập toàn diện, được thiết kế để hỗ trợ mọi đối tượng trong hệ sinh thái số giáo dục. Từ Bộ Giáo dục, Sở Giáo dục, nhà trường đến giáo viên, học sinh và phụ huynh. LCMS iSchool cung cấp một giải pháp kết nối, quản lý và phân phối tài nguyên hiệu quả, góp phần nâng cao chất lượng dạy và học trong thời đại số. LCMS iSchool được xây dựng trên 4 thành phần cốt lõi. Hệ thống quản lý học tập LMS, hệ thống quản lý nội dung CMS, tích hợp hệ thống giảng dạy và học tập trực tuyến Big Blue Button, bảng tổng hợp thống kê và phân tích báo cáo. LCMS iSchool được thiết kế với giao diện thân thiện, dễ dàng phân quyền theo các cấp độ. LCMS iSchool cung cấp tài nguyên học tập đa dạng, hỗ trợ giáo viên trong việc giao bài, chấm điểm và theo dõi báo cáo kết quả học tập của học sinh một cách toàn diện và hiệu quả. Đặc biệt, CMS đóng vai trò trung tâm, cung cấp kho tài nguyên học liệu phong phú. Hệ thống cung cấp tài nguyên toàn diện từ mầm non đến đại học, bao gồm học tập, giảng dạy, bổ trợ và kiểm tra, giúp cá nhân hóa trải nghiệm giáo dục số mọi lúc mọi nơi. Với hơn 2.600 ứng dụng học tập, đồng hành cùng giáo viên và học sinh từ mầm non đến cao đẳng, đại học. 1 triệu giờ tự học trọn đời, mang đến cơ hội học tập liên tục, cá nhân hóa theo từng giai đoạn phát triển. Hơn 9.000 tựa sách đã được số hóa, giúp học sinh tiếp cận nguồn tài liệu phong phú, từ cơ bản đến nâng cao. Hơn 200.000 câu hỏi luyện tập bám sát chương trình sách giáo khoa, hỗ trợ rèn luyện kiến thức theo từng cấp độ. Hơn 20.000 câu hỏi luyện thi chứng chỉ quốc tế như IELTS, Cambridge, giúp học sinh tiếp cận chuẩn đánh giá toàn cầu. Hơn 1.000 câu hỏi thi xếp lớp, hỗ trợ đánh giá năng lực đầu vào và xây dựng lộ trình học tập phù hợp. Với kho tàng tài nguyên cùng giao diện thân thiện, LCMS iSchool sẽ giúp tối ưu hóa việc dạy và học trong thời đại số. Liên hệ để đăng ký trải nghiệm LCMS iSchool ngay hôm nay.
Good morning, dear educators. It's a pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to our webinar today. My name is Hoàng Ánh Tuyết. I'm truly honored to serve as your moderator throughout these special sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, teaching English today is more than just delivering content. It's about connecting with learners, adapting to change, and growing as professionals. That's why in today's webinar, we explore two powerful aspects of language teaching that deeply impact our everyday classroom work. In part 1, we take a closer look at something often felt, but rarely discussed, the emotional labor of teachers. English teachers are not just educators, we are listeners, supporters, and motivators. This session will help us better understand the emotion challenges we face and how we can navigate them with care and confidence. Then in part 2, we'll step through how the digital tools can support teaching, learning, and school management. So whether you are here to reflect on your emotional journey as a teacher or to discover new tools that make your job easier, we hope you will find both inspirations and practical values in today's program. As we begin our webinar today, allow me to introduce our participants. Please join me and warmly welcome to all passionate teachers and educators joining us from across Asia, Europe, Africa, Australia, and Americas, including countries such as Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Japan, South Africa, the UK, and many more. We are truly honored to have such a diverse and inspiring international community with us today. Before we begin, I'd like to invite Mr. Trần Ngọc Hồng Phước, Training Manager of DTP Education Solution, to deliver the opening speech.
Thank you, Mr. Everybody, if you can hear me well, can you help me to write number 1 in the chat box? I need to check if the signals and everything is okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Please allow me to have the opening speech with all of you, and after that, we will introduce to you our distinguished guest today, the special speaker. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. I am Hồng Phước, and I'm a training manager of DTP Corporation. On behalf of Đại Trường Phát Education Corporation, I would like to express our sincere gratitude for your presence at DTP Days 2025 today. Please allow me to give a short introduction of who we are and why we have this workshop with you all. With over 20 years in education sectors, DTP is proud to contribute to the development of education in Vietnam. We have partnered with leading international publishers to provide high-quality curricular, digital materials, and tools that support effective teachings and learning. DTP also committed to digital transformation. Our learning content management system, LCMS, provide a lot of English teachings and learning resources from preschool to university, and we will share with you that resources today for you to explore. But the most importantly, today we are so proud to invite Mr. Dr. Pham Thi Hong Nhung. She will share with you a really inspiring topic, and my MC will share with you later on. So today's workshop is a part of our ongoing efforts to support educators in your professional journey. As you know, AI reshapes many aspects of our lives, including education. One element remains vital is the emotional side of teaching. And language teachers are emotional practitioners, and emotional labor is an integral part of your daily work. While it can be challenging, managing emotions also empower teachers to take purposeful action and improve their practice. So this presentation explores those emotional challenges and offers insights to help teachers navigate them, whether in face-to-face or online classroom. So once again, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to sharing meaningful ideas and tools that support you to your continued growth. Thank you very much and enjoy the workshop today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trần Ngọc Hồng Phước, for your thoughtful and inspiring opening remark. Ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that your certificate will be sent to your email after the webinar. And we have the Q&A section at the end of today's workshop. So if you have any questions for our speakers, please feel free to type them in the Q&A chat box at any time. To ensure smooth sessions, our microphones will remain muted. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding. So it's my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Pham Thi Hong Nhung. Dr. Pham Thi Hong Nhung is currently the Rector of University of Foreign Languages at Hue University and a widely respected expert in the field of applied linguistics. With nearly 28 years of experience in English language teaching and teacher education, she has contributed significantly to both national and international development in our field. And beyond her leadership role, Dr. Nhung is also a prolific researcher. Her work has been featured prestigious international journals such as RELC Journal Language Testing in Asia and Institute Educational Research. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we now begin the first part of our online workshop. Let's take a moment to warmly welcome our distinguished speaker today. Please join me in giving a virtual round of applause to Associate Professor Dr. Pham Thi Hong Nhung. Dr. Nhung, it's a great honor to have you with us today. The screen is now yours.
Good morning. Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you so much for joining us for this webinar, especially when it gives me the opportunity to catch up with many of you coming from different parts of the country and even from different countries too. Having a background in intercultural communication and in English language teacher education, I'm very much interested in how to facilitate teachers in their classroom, and then how we can facilitate our students' learning. And that's why for the last 10 years or so, I become very much interested in emotions of teachers. And as I mentioned in some of you who have followed my Facebook, as I've mentioned, nowadays we have support from different resources and different sources. With like AI tools, students have access to different information, and also teachers would have the same access. And we also have observation that like in corporates and in businesses, in companies, we also have robots. They are actually replacing our muscles. So emotions could be the things that are left for us to activate with to facilitate our students' learning. But the question remains is, so if we care, and because we have to and we should care about our students' emotions, who would care, who would take care of our own emotions as language teachers? So when I talk to DTP people, I say, well, I have so many concerns, and I would love to, like, for you to come up with some solutions to ease that emotions, to ease that mix of emotions for teachers to facilitate their teachings. And I'm so glad that they say, okay, so why not come together and have this webinar so that you can share what you think is important regarding teachers' emotions. And then we can come up with some digital solutions to help and to facilitate teachers in their teaching journey. So this is how we have this webinar on for you, and also for us to share with you. And again, I appreciate this opportunity from DTP people. And because we are about to talk about teachers' emotions, I'm sure that during this webinar, you will feel bored sometimes, but you will also feel excited sometimes. And most important to me, you will find it useful. So please, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, you are more than welcome to type them up in the chat box, or because we will have the Q&A section. So this is not just from me to share with you what we learned from my teaching experience, my research, what is important to me, which I believe is also helpful to you. But it's also an opportunity for me to learn from you too. So let me get some slides up, and then we will really get started. So within this section, I'll talk about emotions, especially teachers' emotions, what happens when we teach, and the mix of emotions that, like, non-native speaker teachers, like we ourselves, like many of us here, will experience the emotional challenges from teaching English. And we will also look at some evidence that come from research that has suggested that emotions can be a very powerful tool for us and as language teachers. And it's also significant for us to understand what we can do with our emotions, where the emotions can lead us to. And then at the end of this section, I'll share with you 8 practical tips that you can use to make full use of your emotions and to use that emotion to facilitate your students. So I hope we will have a helpful and useful section. And again, as I said, at some point of this webinar, you feel bored, but I'll make sure that you find a lot of the information and a lot of tips here useful, as they work for me and they work for my teachers and my colleagues, and they've been proved to be useful to from evidence in research. So first of all, it's significant to have an understanding of what emotion is. Because of our interest in teachers' emotion, especially the emotions experience of English language teachers, we started to look at research in interdisciplinary areas to see what psychology people and what brain science people think and how they look at emotion. So we may come up with some definitions of emotion, what it is, and how it may be connected with our physical expressions, like including facial expressions. So the common understanding is that emotion is very much a subconscious mental reaction, and it's often linked with a lot of physical expression, especially facial and body language. This is why when we look at someone, we look at their face and we look at their voice, we look at the volume of their voice, we look at their body language, we can tell almost right away how they feel. And from this definition, emotion is not the same as feelings or well, emotion and feelings can be used interchangeably in daily language. But from the perspective of research and science, the emotion might be slightly different from something like sentiment, because emotion is considered as short-lived and they don't really last long. Now, later on, we'll see studies would suggest that when emotions persist, especially negative emotion persist, it can lead to something more than just like a momentary feelings. So that's what people think about emotion, and that's how emotion is defined. So when we spend, let's say, a few seconds looking at this photo, I guess not all of us, but maybe some of us have already started to yawn. So yawning is contagious, as shown in research. And there is also research would suggest that emotions also spread. We have something called emotion contagion. This is referring to the fact that how others people feel and their related behaviors can also trigger very much similar emotions and very similar behaviors in ourselves. and vice versa. How we feel and our behaviors can also trigger very much similar emotions and behaviors in other people who are actually engaged with us in immediate communication or immediate context. So this is why when we look at, when we observe the way people communicate, we cannot just see something that people often describe as secondary smoking. We can also have secondary stress when we talk to someone who is too much stressful, when we are exposed to too much negative input, we may feel low or we may feel down at the same time. So it's suggesting that emotion suggests, and it's not just about how we feel, it can also be related to how we take actions. And again, coming from findings in research, and especially in research on brain science, scientists have suggested, and they have pointed out very clearly that in our brain, there is something called mirror neuron, which is responsible for our capacity to be able to sympathize with other people, to understand, to share the feelings, to kind of show support, to feel partially, maybe not completely, but partially how other people feel. And this mirror neuron in our brain, it lights up when we take action, when we do things. And the same phenomenon happens, it also lights up when we see other people to do things. And there are different applications would come from this finding on brains, on our brain, in brain science. And the most obvious application is, we can see the emotional marketing nowadays. What you see on the screen now is the statistics coming from a research project. I guess it's, I suppose it's provided by Harvard University and is published in Business Insider. That people realize that a lot of advertisements and a lot of online contents, they go viral because they are able to interact with viewers and audience emotions, that they make people feel, and those feelings become so strong. So when we watch an advertisement or when we watch an online content, it's not just the information that it provides, but it also the feelings it triggers in ourselves would make us have stronger, will make us feel stronger, and will make it feel more attached, and they will there is a higher tendency for us. For us to actually circulate that content, especially when that content is associated with positive feelings on the part of the viewers or on the part of the audience. So if you look at the statistics, you can see that totally like 71% of the emotions listed here are associated with positive feelings. Like we have 25% of the statistics go for the feeling of amazement, of like when a content make you feel wonderful or amazed or surprised, you will be more likely to circulate that content. When it makes you feel good, when it's humorous, when it's funny, or when it makes you feel amused, when it makes you feel joyful, all of that will actually make viewers, or they will also make the audience more willing to circulate, to kind of spread that advertisement or that online content. So the same thing is applied in business, in emotional marketing, where people started to realize that emotions are more influential than information. They are even more influential than logic. And it's not just about how they make us feel, it's also about how they can make us take actions. That is when we circulate those engaging contents. That is when you feel like you want to buy something, to use the service, to buy the product offered by that or advertised in that online content. So again, it's very much suggesting that emotions might be more powerful. It's not just feelings, but it's also associated with the action that we want to take, that we are willing to take in our life. Now, when we look at this literature, and then when we look at and compare it with the literature on language teaching, and for very long time, teaching is considered as an emotional profession, especially for the last 25 years. However, a lot of research has focused on the emotions of learners rather than the emotion of teachers themselves. Just for the last 10 years or so, or 12 years or so, people started to explore emotions of teachers, including emotions of English language teachers. So it's very much, teaching is very much emotional at heart, because we have to interact with different people and we have to interact with different situations. And it's not just the colleagues or admin people, but also students, student parents, and again, different relationships that we have to interact with to be able to fulfill our role as teachers. And inside the classroom, there are also constant situations that require our attention and that also require our emotional labor. So because teaching is emotional, teachers are obviously emotional practitioners. So it's not just about delivering the content that we want to and selecting the methods or the methodology that we believe works best for our students, but it's also about how to work with our emotions and how to become sensitive and accommodating to our student emotions. And again, how to make use of all of that knowledge in our teaching so that we will not get burnt out, we will not get drained, we will not get frustrated. And that's how teachers are constantly emotional practitioners in their teaching. Now, and in the literature on teachers' emotion, there is a sizable body of literature focusing on something called display rules. So it's not just like we work with our emotions, we understand our emotions, how they can interfere with our teaching, and how we understand our student emotions, what can be the sources of those emotions. But it's also about something called display rules or feeling rules, where you enter an institute, like you enter a community, a teaching community, like your school or your university. There are sometimes verbal, sometimes official, like formal rules, sometimes unwritten rules about how you should show yourselves, how you should present yourself emotionally, how you should display your emotions in the classroom and also within the school context. So all of these are actually sources of emotional challenges. They can present by themselves the challenges for us as teachers. So if we look at the environment and if we look at the constraints that teachers have to face or has to deal with, we realize that slightly different from what a literature has mentioned about emotion. It may not be an individual access. It's not like how, it's not just you who will decide how you feel in the classroom. But we have rules, we have constraints, we have norms, we have regulations. We also have policies which come from different sources, like the government, the state, the university, or the school, or a private foreign language center that you work for. They all can have some influence on the way that we feel, on our emotions, and how we are expected to express those emotions. So having said that, there is a wide recognition in literature that teacher emotions may not be an individual access. It is very much socially and culturally constructed through the institutes, through the schools, through our interactions with our students, through our interactions with their parents, through our interactions with our colleagues and admin people and staff at the institute, where we find ourselves as a teacher. And we also have a lot of evidence that teacher emotions are actually closely linked with our identities, like how we define ourselves as language teachers, how we feel, also has a strong impact on our identity. And those two concepts, like teacher's emotion and teacher identities, are closely connected. And in many cases, as we shall show you in a few minutes, teacher emotions may not be short-lived as what it says in the literature, because in some situations, in some cases, the emotions can persist. They can prolong. Now, the good news is we have both positive and negative emotions, but the bad news may be negative emotions may persist longer and may be consequential in the long term. And again, we'll show you evidence from research with participants like you, like many of us, who provide information and who help us come up with findings, would suggest that if we don't know how to work with our own emotions as language teachers, those emotions can be consequential, not in a good way. And again, we can actually work out together how to move, how to actually transform from our understanding of our own emotion. So there are many sources for teachers' emotional challenges. Beyond the classroom, I mean, we are a human being. Teachers are human. You are like me, I'm like you. We have all our trouble from our life, from our personal relationships, from like daily environment. But apart from that, we also have a lot of challenges which can interact with how we feel, with our emotion. So beyond the classroom, it can be state policy or government policy. It can be teacher standard. A lot of you may still remember the C1, B2, the requirement in terms of our proficiency level. We also have a lot of expectations coming from different people, from our students, from ourselves, from students, parents, and from the school. And we also have like the pressure which comes from school norms and regulations and policies. Not just that, we have the pressure which comes from the curriculum, from their assessment policies of the university and the school. So apart from our old problems, which may come from our daily life, we as teachers have to deal with a lot of challenges beyond the classroom, which interact with our emotions. Now, within the classroom, a lot of studies have shown that teachers' emotions are also strongly influenced by how students react to you as teacher, how they react to your methodology, how they react to the content that you are delivering, how they react to the activities or the techniques or what you say in the classroom. how they collaborate, how much they are engaged in the activities and in the lesson, will also have impact, will also affect how we feel. And it's not uncommon to feel bored, to feel frustrated, because we spend a lot of time like planning our lesson, and we put in a lot of effort and a lot of preparation, a lot of time. And when we come into the classroom, the students' reaction or their engagement or their collaboration is not up to the level that we hope they would have. And so the students' emotions and student reactions can also add to that extra emotional challenges to a lot of teachers, and vice versa. We can also see situations when you feel so good and energetic because the student responds so well to your lesson. They make you feel good. So on the one hand, they take your energy, but on the other hand, they also give back a lot of motivation and a lot of energy at the same time. This is where it leads to something that we call emotional synergy between teacher and students. A lot of us feel it, but we may not fully aware of the fact that how our emotions can influence how our students feel, how students feel, and how their feelings and how their reactions and how their engagement and collaboration and attitudes can also have the same or similar impact on how we feel. And then again, all of these may influence our teaching. So it's not just our feelings, because if you still remember, research has shown that emotions can actually lead to change in actions. Emotion is not just associated with how we feel, but it's also about the action that we may take as a result of how we feel. And so together within any classroom, not just in language classroom, teachers and students' feelings towards each other and their reactions and their emotions together create the classroom climate. So it's not just from us, it's also from the other side. It's also from our students. So if we understand that synergy, later on, we'll be able to see how we can influence students and how their behavior and their reaction can influence us. And then together, that knowledge will provide insights for us to kind of modify our teaching, can make our emotional labor less challenging and more useful to us and also to the students that we work with. So emotions can, again, facilitate teachers. For example, if we feel good, it will feel motivated, it will feel like we are appreciated, it will feel like our lesson is getting good reaction from the students. If it's like you feel it's worth it, then definitely it makes you feel good. And that feeling, again, will affect the way we identify ourselves. So, okay, so this is who I am. This is how I teach. It just makes me feel good. This is the kind of teacher that I want to become. This is the image that I want to create. This is the credentials that I want to establish for myself as language teachers. So it makes you feel good. The effort, the emotion, the energy, that the investment that we give in our lesson, in our teaching, is well received. Then it makes we feel good. In return, it has good positive influence on our teaching, on how we feel, on how we perceive ourselves as language teacher. So again, it helps us, it boosts our feelings, our mood, our behaviors, and it gives us motivation to change our teaching practice to facilitate our students and their learning and improve their learning outcome. And again, it makes us to exercise agency. It means it makes it feel like we are more willing to take actions, and we are really taking action to respond to the emotions, to the reactions that our students give us. But what would happen if the feelings and the emotions and the reactions that we receive from our students are not up to the level that we expected? The later section of this webinar will provide solutions to that question. So those are the things that we already know in the literature on teaching and on teachers and on the interconnection or the synergy in terms of emotions between teachers and students. Now, when it comes to English language teachers who are non-native speakers of the language, this emotional challenge may be multiplied. Now, as language teachers and teachers in general, we actually take on different roles. The same way that you try different methods when you teach. To explain a word or a structure, you try different ways. You use visual aids, you use your body language, you kind of make use of anything that you believe is useful to your students. Now, at the same time, you take completely different roles. If you work with university students, you can be an instructor. You can also be a teacher. You can also be a facilitator. And not just the relationship with your students. You develop different relationships with your peers, your colleagues, people, the school staff, and also student parents. And if you work with like lower level of education, again, you may have to be a mother or father or a sister at the same time. So these different roles come up with different responsibilities, with different obligations. And so together with these roles, they have different norms for the way that you display your emotions. And that by itself adds more pressure to us as language teachers. Now, not just that, with non-native speaker teachers, this burden and this pressure is actually added. Now, what I'm calling here, what I'm referring to here as teaching the language of others. We have TESOL, like teaching English to speaker of other languages. It's not just that. For non-native speaker teachers, we do not just teach English, we are actually teaching the language of others, a language to which we are a learner ourselves. And not just that, we also teach English through English. It's not like like teaching mathematics through our mother tongue, like Vietnamese or Laos or Thai or Chinese or whatever. We teach language of others. We teach through the language of others themselves. And so it adds more anxiety when we play this dual roles. We are learners ourselves and of English, and we teach it to our students. So we are a teacher at the same time. And to add more to this anxiety, we all know, because we are all formally trained to become English language teachers, we all know something called that unique language attribute, like use it or lose it. If we learn a language and we don't use it often and often enough, then we may lose it. I learned Russian when I was at university. No, when I was at high school. I learned Japanese a few years after I graduated from university. I learned it even in Japan. Now, after a long time not using either of those languages, if I hear someone say or speak Russian or Japanese, I may recognize that it's Japanese or Russian. but I'm not able to understand. I'm not able to actually communicate in either of those languages. So when it comes to teachers, now, if we teach at for example, primary school or lower secondary school, or even upper level, secondary level, it's the chance that it's very often the case that we do use English to communicate with our students when we teach, but it's often the case that we don't have that opportunity to communicate up to the level of proficiency that we want to, like B2 or C1. And so it becomes natural that we may lose part of this proficiency. And again, it by itself adds more anxiety to English language teachers who are non-native speaker of the language. And this is why, and this is how, when we look back into the literature, like language acquisition, we see something which has well been established. It's called language learning anxiety. And then we have something more specific called speaking anxiety. There is that connection between how we feel and how well we perform in the language. So teaching is emotional, and teachers are emotional practitioners. But to English language teachers who are non-native speakers of language, this emotional burden or this emotional challenge is actually double, even triple, because of many reasons. And we see a lot of evidences in research, in studies. We have perhaps nowhere else, no other subjects where we see terms like nativeness, non-nativeness, native speakerism, native speaker fallacy mentioned that often. They are associated with the ideologies of their intentional or unintentional, but very well recognized distinction, and what later on we refer to as linguistic racism sometimes. To the difference between native speaker teachers and non-native speaker teachers. And all of these very much push the non-native speaker teachers, people like us, to constantly ask ourselves about whether our proficiency is enough, whether it suffices for us to teach English. And again, this concern, this anxiety adds more burden to language teachers. So it's not just foreign language, it's not just language teaching anxiety, it's not just teaching anxiety, it's not just language teaching anxiety, foreign language teaching anxiety, but it's also foreign language learning anxiety. So we play both roles, teachers and learners at one time. And so we are very different from other, like teachers of other subjects. They suffered from emotions, especially anxieties when they teach. But language teachers suffer more, and non-native speaker teachers suffer even more because all of these phenomena. And by having said that, what I'm trying to say is, again, teaching is emotional. We work with people. People are emotional. So we got to, part of our job is very much about emotional labor. But teaching a language is extra emotional because of all of those connection and association that have already been proved in literature. And teaching a foreign language to like us non-native speaker teachers, when we teach a foreign language, it's even more emotionally intensified. Now, come to this point, I would like to share with you very quickly our research projects. I choose one on pre-service about teachers, their emotional journey that they experience during practicum teaching. And the other research project is on how in-service teachers, people like you and me, how we feel, the emotional journey, that the emotional path that we have to experience almost every day in our teaching. And for this third research project, we've already sent an abstract for TESOL journal, and we are lucky to get the invitation to submit a full manuscript for their review. We just did it this week, so finger crossed. Now, for this research project, we have participants who are 22 students or teacher students who are major in our English language teachers program, and they are in their last year. We asked them to do the teaching as part of their practicum, and we have something called emotional reflexibility as a built-in component in this program. So they teach, and then they are asked to write 2 reflections on their own teaching, and 1 reflection on observing their friend or their peers teaching. After that, we conducted semi-structured interview with them, focusing on how they feel, why they think they felt that way, how their feelings influence their attitudes, their thinking, and the way that they teach, and their subsequent teaching, as well as their future teaching practice. Now, it's not surprising that these teacher students actually experience a wide range of emotions, from anxiety to frustration to pride to satisfaction. So it's mixed. And these emotions come from various sources. It comes from how well the learners, the high school students, interacted with them and with each other in their lesson. They also experience anxiety and frustration, and also they felt worried because they knew that they were being observed, not just by the mentors, by the teachers, but also by their peers, by their classmates. They were also nervous and anxious by the feedback and the evaluation coming from mentors and again from their peers. And all of these emotions are also influenced by how they think what teachers is. A lot of teacher students started to refer to their current teacher or their previous teachers as role models. Somebody that they can associate, somebody that they can reflect on when they experience, when they reflect on their own teaching. And as a result of their reflection on their own emotions during practicum teaching, this reflection helps them become more sensitive towards the learners that they work with. They come to a realization that how the teachers react have a strong influence on how they feel. And it also have a strong influence on how they deliver the lessons. And it also helps them, the reflection on their emotions also help them reflect and modify their teaching methods and their techniques in the subsequent lessons. because when they realize that sometimes the students' reactions are actually facilitating and making them feel good, so they will actually keep or stick to the plan or the activity that they have already planned before they enter the classroom. But the same, when they realize that the same activity may not bring about like good positive responses from the students, then in the next lesson or the future lesson, they would modify the techniques or the methods a little bit. The reflections on emotions during practicum teaching also have the students become more aware of how they feel, why they feel that way, and the sources of their emotions or their feelings. And it helps them make a modification. It helps them adjust their reactions and their feelings, and so that they can become more present professionally. It's not just the way that they talk, it's just not the method that they use, but also how they look in the classroom, because they feel like their presence, like their appearance, not just their method, but their body language, the techniques, their costumes, their clothing may also have impact on the students, because they feel the same way. They feel how the student look, how the student talk, how the student behave, how the student respond also have effect, also have impact on themselves. So it works like a mirror for this teacher students to reflect on their emotions and to modify their teaching. And again, we've already submitted that article for review for TESOL journal for that special issue on teachers' emotions and how to make use of teacher emotions in language teachings. Now, the second research project, this is more advanced because it again, when we work with when we work on this project, we also develop we also collected the data and come up with the findings, and luckily our article, our manuscript has been accepted. We hope very quickly it will be online in international journal, practice one, practitioners one, international journal in applied international review of applied linguistics in language teaching, and we look forward to sharing this research, this article with you. Now, I believe that a lot of you will find yourself in this research. It's associated with the state policy, the language policy by the Ministry of Education and Training, and it's closely associated with the National Foreign Languages project. And you may be fully aware by the fact that if you work at high school or if you work at university, you are required to achieve the CEFR C1. And if you work at primary or lower secondary school, you got to get B2 minimum to be eligible. So in the early period, the early operation of the National Foreign Languages Project in the 2011 and 2013, all of us teachers work at different primary and lower secondary and upper secondary schools, and even university, were asked to take that proficiency test to see where we are And after that, depending on the result of this test, we were mandated to take part in different proficiency training workshops to achieve the required level of proficiency, the B2 and the C1. Now, within that context, a lot of high school teachers who were required to achieve C1 level had assessment results showing that they only got B1 or even B2. Now, our participants are those teachers, people who were directly or indirectly classified as under or below standard and mandated to attend English proficiency training over years. Some of them got the required level of proficiency after 1 year. Some of them it took them up to 6 years, 7 years to get the required level of proficiency. Our findings from this research project suggest that for these teachers who have their assessment results were disclosed publicly because the result was sent directly to their Department of Education Training, and which then was sent to their schools with the whole list of their names and information, theirs and their colleagues. And that information is circulated with their assessment results, with their indirectly being labeled as below standard. For the subsequent years, months, and days and weeks, these teachers experience what we call professional trauma. So when we look at the literature on trauma, it's not just associated with emotions, but it's associated with persistent negative emotions, which have influenced, would have negative impact on their mental health, physical health, their teaching practice, how they perceive themselves. So these teachers experience a complex mix of emotions for all of those years. They certainly felt inferior. They felt disoriented. And all of these feelings are associated with a wide range of physiological symptoms. They had headache, they felt pain, they feel dizzy. So again, this is why we decide to name this emotions. It's more than just emotions because it's not short-lived. It's very much traumatic experience. And these emotions influence not just their feelings, but also their professional lives and their personal lives. A lot of them started to lose confidence, questioning who they are, their worth. And a lot of them decided to withdraw from social contact and a lot of professional activities. They stopped initiating activities which they used to, and they knew that those activities are beneficial to the students. But at that particular point, when being labeled as under standards or below standard, and again that indirect label takes toll on their lives. They just stopped feeling confident. This is some of the evidence, some of the data that they share with us. By the way, at the end of this workshop, you will get the master slides of this presentation. The data that I'm sharing now, again, are part of our manuscript, which are under review by international journals. This is why, except for this data, the rest of the slides will be available for you to share and to look at later on. But I'm sure that when the articles are published, we'll make sure that we will send link to you with all of this data for you to look at. So given that the teachers suffer a lot of anxieties, a lot of worries, and a lot of emotional burdens, we were also very much interested in knowing what healed them, what they did, what pulled them through this trauma. And again, this is why I believe that a lot of you find yourself in this data and in these findings. And I'm glad that you will be heard by different people, by not just you, but by people who have a lot of concerns and who care about language teaching and who care about language teachers. They heal because of 4 main things. Number one, all of us share with us that during that dark moment, the days of distress, the days of frustration and disappointment, they collected strength and motivation from their family and from their close friends, from their inner trusted circle. They became stronger, became more motivated, and they found hope. They look at their family, they look at their children, that give them strength, that actually help them pull through. The second thing that all of these teachers have in common is they make effort to redefine what teacher is and who they are. I'm more than just C1. I'm more than just B2. So language proficiency is just part of who I am. And language proficiency is just part of all of the competencies and qualities that a good teacher must have to become to function well, to serve well as a teacher to my students. A test result for which, especially when I'm not well prepared, at that point, I didn't really know what it's about. I didn't know its format. All I know is I got to take the test in a few months or even weeks. The test result didn't define who I am. So by making compromises, by redefining what teacher is, what a good teacher requires, what good teachings involves, who they are as language teachers, these teachers started to gain confidence. So they have more to offer rather than just proficiency. The third thing that most of these teachers have in common, and all of these teachers did in common, is that they actually seek validation from their students, from different classes that they have been teaching. They look at how the student reacted in their classroom, the students' behaviors, the students' attitudes, the student encouragement, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, as evidence, as validation for their teaching competencies. So for those days to pass, for them to survive, for them to have enough courage, like, and motivation and strength to move on, to learn, to take part in all of this professional development training, successfully to obtain the level of proficiency that they want to. Motivation that comes from students is significant to them. And the last key thing that all of these teachers do in common is that they become vulnerable by accepting the truth, by saying that, well, for all of those years, with all of this teaching workload, with such a limited teaching and learning environment, it's understandable that my proficiency, my speaking, my listening may not be as good at those proficiency of a student who just freshly graduated from university. So by accepting that their proficiency may not be as good as others, by accepting that there might be a lot of reasons that contribute to their limited language proficiency, by become more vulnerable, these teachers have power and have, again, the strength to overcome all of this professional trauma, to learn, to move forward. So in both research projects, we realized that pre-service and in-service teachers, it doesn't matter where you are in your professional teaching life, we are exposed to a complex, complicated mix of emotions. Our emotions influence our teaching and the way we perceive ourselves. Our emotions can also show or are associated with a lot of symptoms as reported by participants in our research projects. And not just in our research projects, in previous research too. Teachers, the participants reported they feel nausea, their hands shake sometimes when they are nervous, they have headache, even they have stomach ache. When they suffer, for example, traumatic experience like what we had in our study. But their awareness of these emotional challenges really helped them move on, survive. They do not just survive through different challenging situations, but they also help them grow, transform professionally and personally. I know my time is almost up. So here comes some of the suggestions that we may consider. I practice them myself as a teacher and as a language teacher educator. We may find some of these useful. Because we know that the energy that we have, a lot of these energies can come from our students. So making our students feel good, creating that friendly environment, that safe environment for our students to make mistakes, to take risk, knowing that they are safe, knowing that they are not exposed to any criticism from us. Making them feel good is making us feel good. Making them feel safe to take risk. Making them to feel encouraged and motivated to say things, to express themselves freely without being judged is important. So if we are able to create that friendly, safe environment, our students will feel good to practice, to use the language, and in return, that energy, that emotion will come back to us. That's number one. Number two, please be aware of the fact that what we bring into the classroom is not just the methodology, is not just the expertise. it's not just the content, it's not just the knowledge of the language, not just the skills, but it's also our emotions, our attitudes, our feelings that intentionally and also unintentionally create emotional classroom climate. The same way that we get feelings and we get energy and we get motivation from our students. And again, if you still remember at the beginning of this section, research in marketing has already pointed out that emotions many times and in many cases work better than logic, than information. And again, as we said earlier on, information comes from different sources, from the internet, from textbook, and nowadays with AI. Again, whether that information is valid or not is another story, but definitely information is available to our students. And so we are not the only one who provide that knowledge, but we are the only one who actually bring into the classroom the vibe, the atmosphere, the feelings that we want to bring to our students and to our learners. And so it might be more powerful than just the knowledge, than just the expertise. Together with the knowledge, together with proficiency, together with competencies, it will be helpful, it will be powerful, it will be influential to our students. So what we bring to the classroom is more than just methodology, more than just proficiency. And so this is why we see the value of something called critical emotional reflexibility. It's something quite new in the literature. It has been introduced by Song, I think 2021, 2022, and very recently, that if we can, we may not do it constantly, frequently, but if we can sometimes reflect on our own emotions and our emotional challenges, where they come from, what are the sources of these emotions in our classroom and beyond the classroom. This reflection may help us, may guide us, may shape the way that we teach, shape the way that we communicate with our students, and help us understand and modify our teaching methodology, our behavior, our reactions towards our students. And again, all together, it gives back, it pays off. It gives in return, it returns the energy and the motivation that we deserve to have, that we wish for. And it's not just as useful as doing emotion meter for ourselves, seeing how we feel today when we enter the classroom, where that feelings come from. It might be equally significant sometimes to do emotion meter for learners. Ask them how they feel. Have them become aware of the fact that their feelings may influence their learning, how they feel in the classroom, how they respond to the lesson. And we can also be mindful that it's not necessary for us to have something called secondary stress or secondary anxiety, because there are enough stressful things in our life. As a human being, as a person, as a teacher, we deal with many things already. So it's important to remember that there might be extra sources of emotional challenges, so that we can choose to keep away from those sources. We do not have to feel that stress. We do not have to feel that anxious just because somebody else, even our peer teachers or even our students, we don't have to add it on to our current unpleasant feelings. And it's also interesting to look at something that a lot of people are now suggesting. It's called facial feedback hypothesis. It's hypothesized that the way that we express outside, especially on our face with facial expressions, will immediately influence how our brain reacts. So if we feel unhappy or if we feel unpleasant, it's not necessary to show it on physically. We can fake it. We can just feel, we can benefit from a happy smile, even when we feel down inside. And in turn, our brain will react accordingly. And that helps us feel a little bit better. Okay. So I tend to make use of this hypothesis, especially, of course, like you, maybe not like you, I have a lot of things that I have a lot of concerns, and again, those concerns are associated with anxieties and nervousness. But I try to, whenever I can, to show, to talk to myself first, that I can change it. By writing, by talking, by showing physically that I can be happy. I don't have to drag on of those negative influences coming from the genuine, persistent emotions in myself. And again, because we have that synergy, the interdependence between teachers' emotions and students' emotion, we know how they influence us, how their emotions and how their reactions can influence us. So if we have that awareness, we have choice. We will not let our emotions negatively influence too much by our students' emotions. And vice versa. We understand that if we can create that atmosphere, that positive atmosphere and feelings to our students, they will also give us back that energy and that pleasant emotions. And again, together, that will support learning, especially language learning process. Because again, language learning anxiety, speaking anxiety is so much closely associated with the feelings, teachers' feelings and students' feelings. And it comes to the end of my section. As teachers, I know, and I know you know, as teachers, again, we are human beings. We have enough trouble in our life. But it doesn't matter how we feel, who we are, how old we are, what trouble we are experiencing right now, what issues we are handling. Whenever we enter the classroom with our emotions, and definitely with the methodology, expertise, with our passion, we can totally create that atmosphere that we want our students to have. So the classroom environment, the classroom culture is a true reflection of how the teachers feel. How the teachers feel is affected by how students feel. So if we can make our students feel good, at least for a good reason, then we also will feel good. And together, we will create that wishing, desirable environment for ourselves first as language teachers and for our students. for whom we've actually dedicated our life, our energy, our motivation to the teaching. And I guess it's come to the end of my presentation. And again, I appreciate your question or comments, anything that come up to your mind. So once again, thank you so much. And if you have any questions or comments, you are more than welcome to make. I've already sent through to the DTP staff my slide for you to look at, and I promise when my articles together with my co-authors, when the articles are up, we'll send you the link. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pham Thi Hong Nhung, for such a heartfelt and thoughtful, provoking presentations. Okay, guys, so your insights have truly reminded us that teaching is not only a profession of knowledge, but also one of deep emotion and care. So we truly appreciate your valuable sharing today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just wrapped up part 1 of our workshop this morning, filling with valuable insight and inspirations. Now please take the next, so what time is this? Okay, so please take the next 30 minutes to rest, relax, and recharge. Maybe enjoy a cup of coffee or have a quick chat with your colleagues. We will meet again at 10:30. Okay, 10:30 a.m. to continue with part 2 of the program, which promised engaging and practical content. Thank you, and see you right after the break.
Excuse me? Yeah, if you have any question or comment that we want to ask for Dr. Nhung, that you can raise your questions in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer all of your concerns and questions. And I think we will, because we are online, so I think we'll take about 10 minutes break. And after 10 minutes, we'll come back for the second section. 30 minutes is too long.
Yeah, okay. Yes, right. So see you right after 10 minutes left.
During this time, we were still waiting here. If you have any questions for Dr. Nhung for her presentation, I read a lot of inspiring comments that you sent in the chat box. Dr. Nhung, could you please browse the chat box, and if you see any questions, that you will answer them. A lot of inspiring comments from your sharing.
At the moment, I see a very interesting comment from an anonymous attendee. I'm not quite sure if other cheer up. I'm not quite sure if all of you see that comment, but it is your research project too makes me interested in another direction in service EFL teachers' emotions in interest-driven non-formal professional development activities. Yes, I think it's a very useful comment. Actually, in our research, at the end of in the conclusion part of our article, we make very similar recommendation. Only when the teachers can understand why why they have to take part in professional development activities, only when the teachers see the values and the significance of professional development activities, then they feel more engaged. They will feel more happy to take part in those activities, not just formal professional development training workshop, but also they will become more willing to take part in activities which help them to improve their proficiency. We have data in this project which show us that when the teachers are motivated by the students, by the design to develop, by the strength that they have when they realized, when they accepted the truth that their proficiency may be not as good as it should be, then the teachers do not just take part actively in formal training workshop. They were also willing to learn from their highly competent students. They were also willing to look for resources outside the formal training to improve their proficiency. So again, it confirmed to us that emotions also have teachers exercise agency. When they feel they want it, when they feel like they need to do it, there is a good reason for them to do it, then they will go ahead. So again, thank you so much for that comment.
I also see it's a really interesting question from one of the account, Hao Hun. She asks, in some cases, everything from family, social relationships, or friends, and even myself can help me feel better. How can I heal myself? Right?
I guess this is a very challenging question. And let me share with you something that I didn't really have the chance to share in my talk. In our data, some participants pointed out they made references to their colleagues who could not really put up with the pressure, and so they decided to leave, to quit, to give up formal teaching. Or some of them could not deal with the pressure, so they asked for anyone asked for the permission from the authorities to transfer them to a lower level. Like they were teaching at high school, and now they asked for permission to be transferred to a lower level of lower educational level. Like they would like to teach at primary school or lower secondary school, thinking that teaching there would be less demanding. There were also participants who refer to their colleagues who again could not deal with the what we call traumatic experience or professional trauma. So that these people decided to ask for the authorities' permission to teach something else rather than to teach English. I think they teach educational, one of the subjects mentioned in the data was national defense education, something like that, something, a subject which they believe was less demanding. So when I look at your question, Hao Hun, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the fact that for this second research project, we actually had contacted 127 participants. Finally, only 19 of them had, I would not say the courage, but they would be willing to share with us, because when they knew that the data would be recording video on Zoom, and when they knew that we would ask them to recall all of these experiences, a lot of them would not, I would say they would be willing to share with us, but they would not feel like they were willing to go through all of those experiences again, because it were so challenging, it was traumatic to them. Even though they overcame already, they gained the level of proficiency that they wanted to, and they were asked to gain. they were not ready yet to recall all of those experiences. So I guess this is partly how you feel when you are not there, when you are not reaching, when you haven't actually reached to the point where you heal. It doesn't matter how hard you tried, talking to your friends or your family, talking to your colleagues, talking to someone you trusted. And all of those efforts are not sufficient, are not enough. They may have, but they are not enough for you to recover completely from the traumatic experience that caused you. I appreciate that sharing, and I appreciate the fact that you had the courage to share it with all of us here. It's not easy, because interviewing and looking at the data that we had and talking to the participants who took part in this project, we saw tears, we saw pain, really. And this is the first research in my life. I spent 19 hours in a row looking at the data without any pauses, because I was so moved. I was so touched looking at the emotional journey that a lot of teachers experience just because they had to take part in a test for which they were not well prepared, and the test did not maybe faithfully reflect their whole teacher competencies, and the test result was disclosed publicly, and they had to go through all that pain. So please, again, I very much appreciate your sharing, and it shows to me clearly that teachers' emotions are real. They are part of what they experience as language teachers. The emotions make them become passionate, but at the same time, it can also cause them pain. I'm not the person who can answer that question directly, like how can you heal yourself? But I believe that it will be a long journey, and at least what happened and the findings of the research will help us understand what we can do. What it might not help you completely, but it's part of the process. And again, it helped a lot of teachers that we work with be heard by policymakers, so that they can just change a little bit of the procedure that will ease the anxieties, that will have ease the pain, the unnecessary pain, the professional trauma on the part of the teachers. And this is why we look forward to having those articles published, so that we can voice your voice, so that you know that somebody else and a lot of other people hear how you feel and partly feel how you feel. So please accept my sympathy and understanding and sharing for the journey that many of you have gone through. You will be heard. You are heard. And I mean that's why it's important, and that's why I appreciate the invitation from the DTP people. They provide this forum for me to be with you, though it's just virtual, but it's meaningful. And I believe that even though you are not completely healed yet, knowing that you are heard and knowing that somebody like us know you are suffering will definitely help you feel better. So once again, thank you so much. Cô thầy Hao Huynh. You have my email at the end of this section. We are actually running another research project, and we would be very much happy if you can share your experience with us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Nhung. I have another question, I think, from teachers, maybe from Thailand or from Laos. She asked the question, what skills should EFL teachers focus on developing to stay empowered in the digital era? I think this question is from Thais or from Laos teachers, right?
Can you say the question again, please?
Yes. So I will paste the message so that it will come right to you right now. Okay. Just wait a minute. I will send the direct to you. So I just sent the question directly to you on the chat box.
Okay, so what skills should EFL teachers, what language skills or what skills should EFL teachers focus on developing to stay empowered in the digital area? I guess a lot of this will be associated with what Mr. Phước is about to present. I believe that what he is about to present will provide a solution to this. But to language teachers, I would say there is a lot of technological tools available at the moment. So if we know how to use these tools, what they can offer, then it definitely gives us more flexibility in the classroom. And if we know the resources, the digital solutions available to us, then it can also help us and help our students at the same time. It's very easy to feel nowadays to feel overwhelmed by a lot of sources available. But again, because we have expertise, we know the criteria, we know what we want for our students, and those criteria will help us to narrow down and select the choice which work best for our context, for our teaching purpose, and for our students. I hope more information will be provided on this digital this concern in terms of technology in Mr. Phước question, in Mr. Phước section. Again, I have so many questions here from not just Vietnam, but from
Cambodia.
Cambodia too.
Yeah. The question that you have just answered is from one of the teachers in Cambodia. She's confirmed that they are from Cambodia.
Okay, yeah.
I just sent you another questions from another teachers in Vietnam in the chat box. That's a quite long one.
Some teachers find themselves deeply affected by daily challenges at work, such as student performance or negative feedback. Yes, I too, I have that suffering too. These emotional setbacks can linger and impact their well-being. Yes. What strategies or support systems can help teachers cope more effectively with such emotional challenges? Some teachers find themselves deeply affected. Okay. So I guess there linger and impact there. It's true. Again, we have studies which suggest the connection between emotions and well-being in general, and teachers are included. The way we feel, especially when we have negative feelings and those feelings are persistent, it will show physically and also mentally. So it influences our mental health and our physical health, our well-being. And again, I guess it's significant for policymakers, for school administrators, for institute administrators to understand the toll, their policy, their norms, their regulations can actually take effect on their teachers. Unfortunately, we in practice we are not lucky. We are not always finding ourselves working in an environment where admin people or the environment or the policies take good care of how we feel, take good care of how teachers feel. And it's like sometimes it's like the teacher's sole responsibility to perform the emotions that they are expected to perform to students. And it's like it's the teacher's sole responsibility to take care of how students feel. But why we are waiting for something like that happen, for the institute admin people to not really take care, but to be aware of the emotional challenges that we have to experience. At least we ourselves should be aware of our emotions, what they can do to us, to our life, to our personal life, to our health, to our teaching, and to our students. And this is why, as I mentioned in my section, critical emotional reflexibility is really important. Understanding how we feel, why we feel that way as a person, as a human being, as a teacher, as a language teacher. Apart from why we feel that way as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a daughter, or as a child, or whoever, then it helps us not completely release or free from all of these emotional challenges, but at least we know why we feel the way we feel. And we will not let the negative feelings persist longer than they should. And we will not let those unpleasant emotions take effect on our life. Because as human beings, definitely we have emotions. And dealing with those emotions are challenging enough. So as a teacher and as a language teacher, if we know the extra emotions that we may have to deal with, where they come from, it will, I believe, it will help us become more aware, and our behavior and our teaching and our attitudes will be better informed. Definitely, many times they are spontaneous, it's natural, but the awareness of our feelings as language teachers will help us see things more clearly and will help us modify or adapt the way that we behave more effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nhung. I've seen so many questions come up, but I don't know which one to choose. Mm-hmm. I read another question from one of the accounts that what should EFL teachers do to prevent negative emotion in classroom? Mm-hmm. So I think this question should be discussed.
Yeah. I guess again, it's the question that all of us as language teachers should ask ourselves. What should we do to make our students feel better and to avoid negative emotions and their impact on our students and on ourselves? Because in return, finally, how they feel is how we feel. How they react influences our reaction. And again, this question cannot really be answered in like 1 or 2 minutes, or by one or two people, or by 1 or 2 research or studies. Because again, if you still remember, emotions are constructed socially and culturally right in your classroom based on specific context and scenario and situation, depending on how well we know the student, what the situation is, where it comes from, the experience that you work with the student, his or her personality, what the issue really is, so that we can actually position that particular negative emotion and we can come up with a specific strategy. But again, to me, the most important thing is at this point is knowing where it comes from. Is it about me as teacher? Is it because of me? Is it because of my methodology? Is it because of the way I behave? Or is it something else? Or is it because the student feels bad himself or herself? Or is it because of the combination of all of these factors? So knowing how we feel and where that feeling comes from would really help us take, like we will slow down, we will step back and examine and explore these emotions without letting negative emotions push us too far away, and make us do something later on we will regret. And at least the full awareness of our emotions and what they can do to us and to our students would be very much meaningful and would be very much helpful. I hope it helps a little bit at this point.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nhung. I think we will spend time for one more question. Could that be okay for you? Because I see so many. It's so exciting for this discussion, and there's a lot of questions.
Sure.
I have one question from, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but I guess she's from another country, it's not Vietnam. Her question is, what activities or strategies do you think are most effective in helping students become more confident and fluent in speaking?
Oh, thank you for the question. In terms of methodology, as we are English language teachers, I believe that most, if not all of us, got formal training on how to teach speaking, how to teach writing, how to teach listening. So in terms of information, in terms of knowledge, we have access to all of this information. What activities that we can use, how we choose the authentic input, how we design tasks would facilitate or would help our students develop skill proficiency, whether they are speaking or writing. We have all of that information available for us and accessible. But again, when it comes to speaking and even listening, like oral skills in general, we know emotions are important. So, and it's not just in learning or speaking a foreign language. You see it in your mother tongue too, whether it's Laos or Cambodian or Thai or Spanish or Vietnamese. If you are nervous, your language changes, your performance changes. If you are not interested, if you are bored, or if you are scared, definitely your performance is affected. And so if we develop, so emotions are important for developing, during the process of developing any language skills for our students, but especially for oral skills like speaking and listening, making them feel good, not correcting them all the time, encouraging. Again, it's linked to one of the tips, one of the suggestions that I made earlier on about making them feel like they can fall safe, they can fall freely, they can take risks, they can open their mouth to say anything without being judged, without being criticized, either in terms of content or in terms of fluency, because you cannot be fluent if you think that someone is watching you all the time and willing to correct you all the time. So again, if we can create that feeling to our students, again, it will be helpful to your students. Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Nhung. Let me confirm that another question. The question that you have just answered is also from Cambodia, one of teachers in Cambodia.
Thank you.
There's another question from Ms. Phương Hà. She asked, how should the teacher do to help a student who has negative attitude and emotion during the lesson?
I guess I partly answered the question in my but I would like to still add one more thing to what I've already said. When it comes to emotions, again, emotions are socially constructed, but they are also individual asset. So knowing your students enough, knowing that, so maybe with the same behavior, with the same attitudes, with the same emotions, for example, boredom or anxiety or nervousness, but with different students, meaning different personalities, we need to have different techniques. Because different personalities, different students have different levels of perceptions, yes, but they also have different personalities. So their level of tolerance or acceptance or accommodation towards how we behave and what we say to them are very different. So there will not be one same technique or one same set of attitudes or one same response to the same behavior of different students. Again, because it's very different from different students and even different teachers. We also need to understand who we are, our personality, what methods that we are comfortable with, what techniques we would be most comfortable, so that we can also adapt ourselves. And we can also choose the right techniques to deal with and so to support different students, even when they have the same issues. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I guess we still have a lot of questions coming up for you, but I think we don't have time to answer all of them. Dr. Nhung will also share with you her email address. And in case that we cannot answer all of your questions today, please feel free to email us and we'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you very much.
Well, once again, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again virtually or anywhere, either in the country or outside the country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Nhung, for spending out your time with us today. I think we have a lot of, you are from Philippines. Yeah. We have teachers from Philippines, from Cambodia, from Laos, from Thai. They are making questions and participating in your workshop today. I really appreciate your time. So I can share with you this one. Yeah.
Please email me if you have questions that I now don't have time to answer, or if you have comment to make, feel free to email me. I promise you that I'll respond to your email within 48 hours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nhung.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nhung, very much. I will. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Nhung. I was planning to ask you at the end of the session today, but since we received some questions for you, so we might as well take this opportunity to address them now, right? So Although there are still many questions, due to limited time, we kindly ask for your understanding. We will compile all the questions and send them to Ms. Nhung, and we will share her answer with you afterwards, right? So after now, let us continue with part 2 of our workshop. Mr. Phước, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so why emotion are at the core of effective teaching? The right digital tool can help us manage learning, okay, more effectively and meaningfully. So in the next section, we will explore how technology can support classroom management, teaching, learning, and assessment, especially in today's evolving educational environment. So it's my pleasure to invite our next speaker, Mr. Trần Ngọc Hồng Phước, Training Manager at DTP Education Solutions. So Mr. Phước, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. And thank you, Dr. Nhung, for your inspiring section for all the teachers. If I can make a conclusion for Dr. Nhung's presentation, so I would say happy teachers make happy student, and happy student make happy school. And then if we are all happy, then will be a good learning environment for both teachers and students. In my section, I would provide you with a digital learning platform, learning and teaching platform that would ease your teaching. Because we provide you a lot of useful resources and teaching tools that will help you will not only have an interesting learning environment with your student, but also engage them in learning. So my section gonna be talking about the learning content management system. We call that LCMS. And today focus will be on university content. So we will introduce to you some university textbooks that you can consider using for teaching general English at university level, or even at English Center, or even for teachers who want to study some general English, and you can consider those material. And lastly, we'll share with you the international accredited language certificates. So that will be my sharing today. Now, before we begin, if you can see the screen that I am sharing right now and you can hear me well, you will type good in the chat box and we shall begin. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. It sounds like the signals and everything is great. Thank you. Now, first of all, at DTB, we provide you a full ecosystem for your educational development. Supposing that you are a school, a university, or an English center. So we provide you an ecosystem, including the placement test when the student first enter into your university or your school. So we provide you a placement test for you to evaluate your student, whether their English level is at A1 or A2 or A3, so B1 or B2. So you know that usually the entrance requirement, if you require them to submit an IELTS exam or some equivalent certificate, it could be really expensive for the student. But if you use one of our solution, the placement test we have, it costs, I can say it's really cheap. It's about 50,000 only. And then after that test, you will know your student English level already. Then after the student taking the placement test, then we will provide you on the EFL English course books. That's including the teaching materials for you as well. So we have on the EFL course book for preschool up to university level. And then while they are learning, we also provide you with tests, like unit test, midterm test, final test, a lot of tests, ongoing assessment for your teaching program. And then finally, we'll also provide you with a worldwide recognition English certification language search, which is more friendly than the other ones in the market right now. So that's also the skeleton of my presentation here today. We'll talk about the LCMS, the Learning Content Management System. So firstly, DTB will provide you this learning platform we call Learning Content Management System. And in this one, we will have all the content as also the account for teachers, from admin to students and to parents. Say some of you said you cannot see my face. I think it's because of your computer. In my sizes, everything is okay. So right here, we'll provide you this platform. The platform will include the LMS system for the admin account, for a teacher's account, for student and a parent's account. And when you go inside our platform, you can see right here, this is an admin account. We will have the course book from preschool. This is from preschool student up to university student. We also have all the content for that one. And there's a lot of choices. It's just like a buffet. There's so many things for you to choose. And today focus will be for university sections. So you can see this one will provide you, firstly, we provide you with the course book, like C21. I will go C21st. I will go into detail for this series later on. And personal best and big pictures. So those are the course book. I will go with you into details at how many levels it has and what component does it have. And we also provide you with a lot of useful tests like from VSTEP, Vietnamese test, and international one like APTIST, language search, TOEIC, Cambridge, IELTS. So we provide you with a lot of useful resources right here for your consideration. And with this platform, you can assign the teachers. Let me go to the teacher's account. You can assign a teacher's account right here. So with the teacher's account, you can see your schedule. And if you go to your schedule, your teaching schedule, we will provide you with all the useful resources for your teachings right here for you to choose. As teachers, you can also have a teaching plan for your class. All the contents will be assigned to you, and then you can assign the content to the student. The student will also get the assignment from you as well. You can see the student score. You can check their attendance, and then you can see your student list. And most importantly, you will have a report that will let you know how well your students are, what skill they are good at, what skill they are not good at, what do they need to improve, what skill do they need to improve. So we will have a record for the teachers as well. With the student account, we'll also have that function. So firstly, the student will have the timetable. We'll let them know that at what time, what day they have classes. And when they go into their classes, all the learning resources is also assigned for them already to complete. And then if they have any task or any assignment from the teachers, that will be announced to the student. This app will not only can be used on computer, laptop, but it can also go on phones. So there will be an announcement sent to the student on their phone, and then when they receive the announcement, the notification for their task, so they can sign in and do the exercises assigned by the teachers. Okay. Then the student can also go to their own resources. As I mentioned earlier, we have all the resources from the student entrance level to their graduation level. So first they enter the school. We provide you with a placement test. Then after that, we will provide you with a learning platform, learning material, and then the testing, ongoing testing materials, and finally will be the graduation test for them. So the student can see their resources, on the resources they can use in their class. They can also see their attendance, their score, how well they have get, and also the report for their learning. So let me get back to the resources we have. Here are the course book we provide for school, university level. So first one, we have C21st. This is a 6th level course. I will go with you into details later on. Personal best and big pictures. So let me share with you some inside information about those series. First one is big pictures. This is a new series, and we have a second editions already ready in the market. This is for adult and young adult student. We have 6 level, started from A1 to C1. And it's recommended for teaching from about 90 to 120 hours. In each, for lower level, like A1 to B2, we have 10 to 12 units per level, including a unit opener and 1 to 4 lessons. And this is American English. And with this coursebook, with this English coursebook, we provide you a lot of teaching resources. And one of really useful resources I want to share with you is the teacher's iBook or the digital books. So what the digital book is will include the student book, the workbook, the teacher's book, the teacher resources pack, and the video. So there will be, let me go into details for this one. So if you examine this series, the big pictures right here, so you can see a lot of contents for teachers. All of them are ready to use if you choose one of our series. So firstly, you have the teaching materials right here. Is including, as you can see right here, Cambridge exam teacher's book, printable worksheet, student book, workbook, video, PowerPoint, and the software. So we have a lot of available resources for you to use right in the classroom. We also have this one, learning materials. Those materials is for the student. So the student can use the printable worksheet, the audio of their student book and workbook, Cambridge exam audio, the big pictures, A2, student book and workbook, and the printable worksheet as well. So audio script. So those are the learning material that would be paired for the student account. And most importantly, we have on the practice test bank, including unit test, midterm, and final. And for each unit test, we will have like a consolidation test or an expansion test for the student. So it's up to your choice in the classroom. If you have like average student, you can consider using the consolidation test. But if you have like above advanced student, above average student, then you can consider using an extension test. And all of the test is already digitalized. So the student can do it online and you get instant feedback, instant result. It will, minimize your preparation time. It's also take away a lot of the workload that you have to do. Supposing that you are using the course book and then you're using printed test, that will take you a lot of time for correcting the student test and giving them feedback as well. But if you are choosing one of our solution right here, will make the your teaching job easier. And we will take away a lot of workload for you if you consider using one of our platform right here. So in terms of the test, for example, the student will have this platform will allow teacher to assign the test to the student at the end of the unit. And then the student can do the test. They get instant feedback and instant result. And teachers don't have to, do the correction of the test. And this test will not only test the student on how well they have studied the unit, but also prepare them for international exam, because the test format right here will reflect some tasks in the test will reflect the actual test the student will take for international exam. So you can see this is the format of the test they will take for the unit test. So the same thing, we have another series for you right here. Personal Best is also another communicative book for university or English center if you want to design a general English program for adults or young adult. This is also have 6 levels. It starting from A1 to C1, and it also recommended to use for 90 to 120 hours, depend on the component that you are using. It's also American English, and it's also come from Richmond. And again, with this series, we also prepare a lot of teaching resources for you, for teachers to use in the classroom. We usually divide them into 3 main resources. First of all is the resources for teachers. We call that the teaching resources. And then for learners, we have learning materials and practice tests, is including all the tests for this one. In short, what I want to say here, if you are choosing one of this one, then you will have all the ready-made material for your teaching and learning as well. So you can see here, with this series, we have mapping to aptitude tests, we have mapping to IELTS test, we have mapping to VTF test. What does that mean? These resources stand for, we already map the course book with the outcome exam. And how many percent will the test will mapping with VSTEP, will mapping with IELTS, will mapping with aptitude. So we prepare this material for you to give you an evidence so that you can choose the book confidently and using in your school. We also provide you with video lectures and all the teaching resources right here. If we have more time, and we'll go into detail, but in this workshop, I cannot go into details of every component here, just give you a full pictures of what we have. Then for learning materials, yeah, we also provide available learning material for students. And finally, we have practice test material that include a lot of tests right here. Unit test, midterm, final, a lot of. And all of them, one of good thing is all of them are digitalized. So you can use it easily. And another series we want to share with you today is 21st, C21st. What different in this series with the previous 2 one I have shared with you, big pictures and personal best. So in this series, we have, we include the 21st century skill for the student. So when they study this one, they will be practiced to develop the 21st century skill, like you have critical thinking, problem solving. So those are embedded in a lesson. And when the students study this one, they will gradually develop the 21st century skill. And the same with the 2 previous series that I have shared with you. It will also include all the teachings, learning, and testing material available for you on our LCMS. So if you choose one of the books right here for your teachings, and you will be provided with the platform, and the platform will provide you with all the useful resources for teachings and learning as well. Beside the course book we have here, in 2026, we are about to launch a new series that improve your English. It's also another 6-level course, a 7-level course that take the student from A1 to C1 as well. But it will be available in 2026. Aside with that one, along with that one, we also prepare you like a skill book. So supposing that the school are using a course book already, and you just changing to a new course book, you don't want to change another time. It will take several years for you, but you are considering develop some specific skill for the student. If you are seeing that, you can consider using one of our placement tests. And then after that, I will analyze the data for you. And with that analysis data, you can find out that the school or the student are not really good at writing, or they are not really good at speaking or listening, some other language skill. Then we have supplementary material for you right here to develop those specific skills that you want to emphasize, you want to focus for the student. So we have series like writing success is one. So for you to focus on teaching writing skill for the student, it will start from intermediate level to upper intermediate and advanced and pre-intermediate level. So we have 4 levels right here for you. In some university, beside the general English course book, you also have an ESL program, like English for specific purposes. So we also provide you with a lot of ESL book, like medical, business study, tourism, and hospitality. So right here, we have business studies as well, healthcare and nursing, information technologies, law, science. This one will have around 200 titles for you to choose. So whatever you have in your school, you can consider using one of our ESL course book, ESL book. Usually for this book, we will divide it into 3 levels in one book. You have 15 units in one level. And then after 15 units, you can move to another 15 units. It will take the student from A1 usually to B1. That's the standard outcome for university student. And then we also provide you with test prep material. If you want to train your student to get ready for A2 key exam or preliminary exam or Cambridge First or advanced or proficiencies, so we also provide you with these materials as well. Right here, we'll also have books to prepare for IELTS exam, for language search exam, and for app test, for TOEIC. So we have a lot of useful materials in our platform. If you are interested in one of the products or the platform that we introduced to you today, so please get back to us on the email or confirm with one of our staff, and then we will pay a visit at your school to give you a further details for this material, how to use it and how we can set up a platform for you to use later on. One last thing in my presentation that I would like to share with you is one of the certification language cert. This is quite new in Vietnam, but this is well known in the world. In this part, I will share with you 2 things. Number 1, why do we have to choose language cert? And number 2, one language cert test format. Here's the first reason why do we have to choose language cert. So firstly, language cert is recognized by OCCO. OCCO is the Office of Qualification and Examination Regulation based in UK. And if the language test is recognized by OCCO, it means this is a really trustful certificate for your English assessment. OCCO also recognize Cambridge assessment in the national exam as well. And language cert is now recognized in 115 countries and 2,500 universities, schools, and institutions in the world. And you can see on the list right here, we have some countries that use English as the first language, and some countries that use English as the second language is also recognized language cert. And if you go into details in some countries, like in the UK, we have more than 500 universities recognized and accepted language cert. And you can see some really famous ones like University of Oxford, University of Manchester, Nottingham, right? So if the student possess a language cert certificate, it will equivalent with an IELTS certificate. They can have an opportunity to study in 500 university and institution organization in the UK. Similarly, in USA, there will be 280 university recognized language cert. So you can see one of the famous university here, like Stanford University, is also recognized this one. What does that mean? That means this certificate is worldwide recognition, and some top university in the world also recognize this certificate. In Canada, there will be, in Australia, there will be 50 schools. In Canada, there were about 30 schools, and the list will going on and on. This language search is also recognized and approved by the Ministry of Educational Training in Vietnam. Vietnam also recognized this one. So if you possess one of the language search certificate here, it's also recognized in our educational system as well. Let me share with you another reason why you may consider taking language search test. So first of all, it's flexible. You can take the test 24 hours 7. What does that mean? That means you can take the test at home, an online test at home, and we can guarantee the result for you. It's really convenient, right? Let's see that you don't have to register for exam and wait for the exam date, and then you go to the test site. It takes a lot of time, investment, as well as financial investment as well. But with language search, you can take the test at home. So this is one of the key methods that make the test more competitive in the market. The second sector I want to share with you here is friendliness. The test will be more friendly for the test takers. What does that mean? Let me give you some simple comparison. Like if you take an academic test, it's going to be really challenging for you because they will test you not only the general English, but also the academic knowledge as well. But in language search test, they will give you a combination between that, including general English, communicative English, and a little academic one. So it will make the test less stressful for you. Another thing is that they also, reduce the number of the questions, the number of the question in each part. So that will make the test friendlier for test takers. They have a lot of tests from language search academic. It's for university and college admission. About 2 days ago, Australia already recognized language search academic that will accept for all the student visa. If the student possess the language search academic, then they can apply for the student visa study in Australia. We also have language search general. This is for work and general purposes. And language search ESOL. This is for study and general purposes. And today focus, I will share with you the language search ESOL. This is one of the tests that we would recommend the university and university student who take this test. What makes this test different? If you are taking an IELTS test 1, the test will design from B1 up to C2 level. So that means you may see some structures, some grammar point, or some vocabulary in C1 or C2 level. That's quite challenging for the student. If the outcome for the universities is only require the student to get B1 level, then they can consider taking language search is on B1. Language search is on B1 will only test the student on B1 of their English proficiencies only. On the question design in the test is only on B1. There will be no vocabulary or structures in B2 or C1 and C2 level. So that's another reason make the test more friendly for the test takers. And with this test, you can take online, you can take computer-based, or you can take the test online at home. Here's the format of the test. So for listening, you have only 26 questions, and you can listen twice. If you compare that with other tests, that may allow you to listen only once. And you have 40 questions or 35 questions for the listening part, or even 100 questions for the listening part in some popular tests we have in Vietnam right now. But for language search, they have only 26 questions. So it's friendlier, right? And then you can listen twice. This is another thing that makes the test more friendly for the test takers. And then in terms of reading, you also have 26 questions. Comparing with other tests, like they have 40 questions, or maybe 100 questions, or 35 questions for reading, that longer than this one. And another thing is that the reading part here is quite friendly. Like in part 1 and part 2, you may read some poster, some postcard, or some advertisement was about 30 to 40 words or maybe 10 words for each reading. And then in second section and third section and fourth section, you can have more difficult reading part. But the maximum length for the reading is about 1,000 word article, something like that. Comparing with other tests, they may have 2,000 words for the reading, and you have to read 3 articles like that. So it's really challenging for test takers. So if you only consider the test format right here, we don't go into details, but we only consider the number of the questions in listening and reading, and then you will see that this test is more friendly than the other one. And one more good thing is if the student only required to submit a B1 certificate, so they don't have to take a test, which include question from B1 up to C2, but they only take the test for B1 level only. So it's a lot friendlier for them, easier for them to achieve and to get good result for the test. So I think I will skip this part. I wouldn't go into details with you, but I can send you the slide for this one. That's the end of my presentation. And there's one more thing that I want to share with you. If the students are taking language cert test, so their score will be, it can be compared with the CFR level. It can be compared with IELTS test. And if the students are possessing a B1, language cert B1 certificate, is equivalent with B1 CFR, and that equivalent with like 4 to 5 IELTS band score. So this is one of the new certificate for students to consider because the test is friendlier, is also the test free, is also friendlier for the student, more convincing for the student. And when they take the test, they will get the result like this, including a statement of result, an e-certificate, and a digital badge. No matter you are taking a test online or you are taking at a test center with computer-based or paper-based, your certificate will be the same. They will not written on your certificate that this test is taken online or offline. The certificate will be the same. So in short, what I want to share with you here today is the learning platform we have. We call that LCMS. It including all the teachings and learning material we have from preschool up to university level for your consideration. So if you are a university or you are an English center and you want to use one of our solutions, please work with us, contact with us, and then we will pay you a visit at your school to provide you further details of the solution that DTB is giving out to you from the placement test to the graduation exam. That means we have all the material that go along with your educational development from the very first level when a student enter to your school and until they graduate from your school. So we provide you all the teaching and learning resources with our platform, our system we call Learning Content Management System that will make your teaching much easier, and it minimizes your preparation time as well as, take away a lot of workload that you have to do in your teaching job. So that's the end of my sharing right now. Thank you very much for your listening. I have one question here. How can I have the account for the courses? You contact with one of our staff in your area. Now, supposing that you are in the north and you contact with our staff in the north, you are in the south and you contact with our staff in the south, and we will approach you and then share with you later on more details for this material. We can create a demo account for you and we'll select the coursebook that you are interested in. The account that you see from my slide is a lot. There's all the courses and material from preschool to university. But for your school only, we will create a specific account for your school. Okay. I have another questions as well. Yeah, that's all. Do you have the recording of the presentation today? Sure, we have the recording of the presentation today. We will share with you later on YouTube or Facebook that you can re-watch this webinar. Thank you. If you have any further questions for us, so I'll be waiting here to answer all of your questions.
Thank you very much for your sharing, Mr. Fred. I believe that the advantage of the school system and the language search international certificate, teachers who are interested will really enjoy it and feel reassured. So if you are interested, please feel free to contact us. So, oh, I can see another questions for you. You can see in the chat box.
What question is that?
Yeah.
Can teachers get the login the LCMS? Is that right? You mean that question from Ms. Ngọc Lan, right?
No, I think another one. How do teachers as a school principal to agree to apply the advanced at school?
Could you say that again, please?
So I will send it in the chat box for you.
I have one question for Ms. Ngọc Lan. Can teachers get the login the LCMS? Okay, how do teachers ask the school principal to agree to apply these advanced at school? I don't know how to answer this question. So once again, because we organize this webinar worldwide, nationwide. So if you are interested in using our platform, please contact with our DTB people in your regions. Now, if you are in the south, you are in Ho Chi Minh City, or you are in the north, wherever you are, you contact with our people, and then we will create a demo account for your school with the book that you are interested in, the material that you are interested in. We will create an account for your school, and then we will pay you a visit. Our people will explain to you in details and share with you how to use the platform. And together with you, we will pursue the school principal to consider using this one. But firstly, you have to help us first. You have to persuade them first. And then we can, pay you a visit to work with you later on. We have people all around the countries, even in Laos, in Thai, in Cambodia. We also have people there in that countries. So if you are in Cambodia and you are interested in using our platform and our material, you can contact with our people there. And if you are in the north, then you contact with the people in the north, please. Yeah. About the LCMS, is there a cost associated with logging into the LCMS? Can user set it for free? Part of them are free, part of them are not. We developed this one for educational purposes. So usually for teachers' account will be free. The teachers can use the resources for free, but the student have to pay an initial cost for this platform. For example, when they get the student book, that will include the code for them to access to this learning platform. Or if the school, you don't want to use the, the physical, the printed books, you only consider using the digital platform right here. And we may sell the account to the students. So the student have to pay for their account. But the teachers will be provide a free account for you to use in teaching, right? Van Chu, you have another question. Let's see. Last year, I bought this test account for student and experience. They love these exercises. Yeah, thank you for your feedback.
Sure.
Could you give the info of DTB trainer in the central region? I love to have a demo account. Miss Ngọc Lan Lê, you can contact Miss Nhung or Miss Lin, our DTB people. Are you still here, Miss Nhung and Miss Lin, the PM team, the DTB people? Please contact with Miss Ngọc Lan. Okay, we will notice that. We will notice that, and then we'll contact you later on. I will copy your message and then send it to Miss Nhung later on, and then she will contact with you. Please give me your phone number or any information that I can contact with you. Okay. Yeah, yes, I got your email. Okay, got it. So our people will contact with you after this workshop, maybe today or tomorrow. Thank you so much. Could you give, I have another question right here. Could you give the address for Cambodia? You contact our people in Cambodia, Mr. Buti, Peter. You give your information and he will contact you for that one. Is that we will get a certificate. Yeah, you will get an e-certificate after this workshop. So we will send you an e-certificate for your attendance for this webinar. Please check your email for that one. Yeah, is there a trial period? Sure, you will have a trial period for free, and after that trial period, then you will consider using that. Yeah, we have Mr. Puthi Peter. He sent his email address on the chat box. If you are in Cambodia, you can contact him for this one. His number as well in Cambodia. Yeah. Okay. We will leave this webinar on for you to send messages, and we also use this one to browse the information that you text us here today and contact with you later on. Where do students learn and get language cert? Great questions. So currently, the student can register to study online at DTB to be trained for language cert exam, or you can use our platform right here. If you are using our platform LCMS, on the LCMS, we provide you with all the language cert teaching material and learning material for you. What I mean here is English is the same, no matter what you are learning. You can study whatever course books. And then for the outcome exam, if you are taking IELTS exam, then you will take some tests to get familiar with the test format and the way that they design questions. So the same thing here. You can keep the current English course that you are having at your school right now. Just keep that. And then you add on some practices, some test practices to help the student get familiar with the test format. And then the student can take the test easily. If you are using our platform right here, the LCMS system, and we provide you with all the tests from A1, B1, C2, on the digital material right here, you can use it for your school, for your teaching. And if you are interested in printed material, we also have printed books for you. We have Succeed in Language Cert, A1 Succeed in Language Cert, B1, B2. So we have all the tests available here for your consideration. DTB products will not only have the printed material, but also the digital material. And you can consider using one of them or both of them as a combination. It could be great. Yes, it's the end of our webinar today. And once again, thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you. So, Ms. Tuyết, you can close the section today.
Yes, thank you very much for your sharing. And ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up, I have your certificate will be sent straight to your email, right? So I can see some question about that. So with that, we have come to the end of today's sections. On behalf of organizing teams, thank you so much for spending your time with us today and for being such an engaged and supportive audience. And we hope you found the workshop useful, enjoyable, and full of fresh ideas to bring back to your classroom. So wishing you all the best in the teaching journey and have a lovely day ahead. Thank you so much.